Hello class, and welcome to the Super Metroid walkthrough right here on Video Games 101 by way of Let's Play with Brigands. I'm your instructor, Professor Brigands, and as far as I'm concerned, Super Metroid is the high watermark of the Metroid franchise. Franchise? That's hard to say, actually. The Super Metroid You want to say Super Metroid or franchise? I don't know. I'm sorry. This is not a good start to this. This is a classic. It's a veritable masterpiece. You gotta believe me on this. Fluff is going to share a lot of facts about that and the making of this game throughout this walkthrough. I think he actually has more facts for this game than any other game we've ever covered here on Video Games 101 so far, so I'm looking forward to that. Gary's got your boss beaters and Blaze has info on every item, but most of this is about the walkthrough itself. My goal in this class is to make the quintessential Super Metroid 100% completion guide for everyone, regardless of your skill level, getting all the items and upgrades for a clear time of a little over 2 hours. Now, there's a ridiculous number of speedruns out there with players 100%ing the game in under an hour at this point. I've watched parts of a few of them ahead of this class, which I don't normally do, but I was curious if I could apply any of the tips and tricks which they use to a guide for the everyman and woman. Turns out not really, because they rely on very difficult to pull off hacks which take a lot of practice and aren't practical for most players, including myself. No, this guide is for anyone who just wants to play this classic the normal way, but with the most efficient route for getting a 100% when all is said and done, and with a clear time which nets you the quote-unquote best ending. Almost forgot to handicap this game. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to go ahead and give Super Metroid, in terms of difficulty, a 6 out of 10. On the frustration scale, this equates to biting down and then throwing your controller across the room, maybe because you just don't know where that power-up is that you need, but we're going to show you. We're going to show you everything, the best route to take to find everything you need to 100% complete this game. Even with the most efficient route, this is still over 2 hours, so let's run the intro and get into the Super Metroid walkthrough right here on Video Games 101. Alright, before we start a new game, let's take a quick peek at the settings, which you can do as you select your game. I like that detail of the helmet turning to face you. The controller setting can be set however you want. We'll cover the controls in just a second, but my recommended controls is Y for shot, B for jump, as God intended as far as I'm concerned. But I'm sure the speedrunners think that's blasphemy. Again, we're not speedrunning today. I think this setup works very well. With the extra settings, icon cancel means when you enter a room, anything you had equipped like missiles will automatically unequip. I like leaving this off. I like to keep whatever I had equipped room to room. Let me make those choices. And moonwalk allows you to back up and shoot in front of you, you know, like Michael Jackson used to do. This is in contrast to leaving it off, where you would need to turn around and be facing whatever you want to shoot. I like leaving it off because moonwalking is very slow, and I just find it's more efficient to move where you want to get and then start shooting. But anyway, let's enjoy this intro here. We get a reference to the first Metroid game, first Battle of the Metroids on planet Zebes. Had to catch myself there. I learned the correct pronunciation of that word during our class on the first Metroid, which you can check out, linked to the playlist in the description. Yeah, we foiled the plans of the space pirate leader, Mother Brain. Having trouble with R's today, apparently. I like that we have the souped up SNES graphics for taking down Mother Brain right there. That's what it looked like. I next fought the Metroids on their home world, SR-388. Completely eradicated them except for a larva, which after hatching followed me like a confused child. That's describing the plot of, I guess it was Metroid 2. It was a Game Boy release, which we have not covered on this channel, but got the monochrome there. That's a nice touch for the Game Boy, except I realized they did that for the first scene too, so never mind. I personally delivered it to the Galactic Research Station at Ceres, so scientists could study its energy-producing qualities. Like a scientist shaking Samus's hand. Good work. You're much cooler than I could ever be. The scientists' findings were astonishing. They discovered that the powers of the Metroid might be harnessed for the good of civilization. Cute little Metroid. Probably doesn't want to be studied, but I feel like it's a good sport in this game. Satisfied that all was well, I left the station to seek a new bounty to hunt. Probably grab a bite first, honestly. 2 straight games without a little R&R time for Samus. I'd hardly gone beyond the galaxy when the Ceres station was under attack. So we get to head right back, and this is where our adventure picks up here. This part is very straightforward here at the space colony. It's a completely linear path right here that you take to get to the lab down below. So while we're doing this, let's take a look at the controls for Super Metroid as we set them up. Again, these are my preferred controls with regards to Y, B, A, and X, but yeah, you can see, have it so that shooting is with Y, jump with B, hold A to dash. I never use the item cancel, but it's up there at X. Angle your weapon up and down with L and R, or I guess R and L, respectively, up and down. And movement there, duck twice once you have the Morph Ball power-up. And we'll talk about wall jumping once we get into the game in proper, but here's the poor, scared little Metroid, and oh, what's up, Ridley? So normally this is where we would bring in our boss expert, Gary, to cover tips on how to beat Ridley right here, but this is an unwinnable battle, actually, so let's go ahead, take damage till you get down to about 29, Ridley will take off. And now it's time to get the heck out of here as quickly as possible. They give you plenty of time, but I like the physics once we get into this next area where the room is kind of tilting left to right. Fluff, I'm told you have a fact about that Ridley encounter we just had?
If you shoot Ridley enough, they'll drop the baby Metroid to the ground, but quickly rush back and pick it up before flying off. For what it's worth, the rest of the sequence is unchanged in case you were thinking you could really take the speedrunning community by storm in beating this game in 2 minutes. But it's still worth mentioning.
Thank you, Fluff. Yeah, you can see the steam right here doesn't actually hurt you, it just kind of makes it a little more difficult to get out of the station, but they give you plenty of time. And if you couldn't tell, the overall objective of this game is to rescue that Metroid, so let's add it to the list. Let's still see that cool explosion. Very Star Fox-like, that explosion. But here we are, back where it all began, planet Zebes. And before we touch down, let's take a quick look at the Briggs notes. These are the keys in the Super Metroid walkthrough for beating this game. And it's pretty simple. It's what I said in the intro. Just follow this guide for the most efficient 100% route that doesn't require all-world skills. And as an aside, use Gary's boss beaters. We'll bring him in once we get into the first actual boss. But this is going to be fun. So we touch down on Zebes here. Or we hover above it before we officially touch down. Pause here and take a look at our map and our menu. We got nothing right now. I don't know why Samus felt the need to hawk off all of those sweet upgrades we got in the previous installments of this series, but that's part of the fun, right? We get to find everything fresh. So first thing we're going to do is drop down here. This is pretty much the only thing we can do right now, because we are limited by a lack of the Morph Ball and bombs as well, which we will need to progress things any farther. I'm going to drop all the way down. It's very quiet on Zebes right now, eerily so. I love the music, the sound effects in this game. The sound effects just are very satisfying. There's something very, that ASMR kind of quality to them, I would say. And the soundtrack is just all world, just creepy and atmospheric. And we're going to talk about the composer. The composer is a little bit later with Fluff, but just had to call it out early because it's just one of the best. And as we take this elevator down here, you'll recognize some familiar scenery right here, and go to the left, and just like old times, the Morphing Ball is still here. Blaze? Alright, the classic, the Morph Ball. When we have this, we can squeeze into a little ball, access areas we wouldn't normally be able to. Just like getting out of that section right there, good call. And right here, we're going to aim down at the ground. Kind of crouch and hold L1 to get that lower shot, and then go into the Morphing Ball. Come down here and we get our second power up, our first missiles.
Alright, missiles. Not much to say about these. They're a little more powerful than your basic attack. You can open the red doors with 5 shots, but yeah, missiles. There's a lot of these power-ups to find in this game.
Yeah, it's certainly more powerful than the basic attack we have right now, and there are 46 missile upgrades, so we'll be showing you. You'll be hearing that sound a lot when we're grabbing missiles. So I'm doing something a little unorthodox here, and I'm taking the elevator up before we use missiles on that door. The reason being is that we need to pop in here and get all these enemies to spawn in for the first time. So, no longer the safe, welcoming Zebes. Well, creepy, but welcoming, and there's no one trying to kill us. That's gone. Now everything's trying to kill us. So we need to kill these 5 guys just so we can unlock the door back to the right here. And I know you're probably thinking, Professor, why are we going out of our way here? Just seems like we're needlessly adding time onto this playthrough. This is so that we can access an E-tank earlier than we're meant to, with a little trick that I've discovered here. So now we need our 5 missiles to open the door through this door. There will be a missile upgrade in here, but if you spent some time in this room before and you've shot at the ceiling, which is usually a good instinct actually, then you will find that there is an E-tank hidden right up there, which is, I guess, consistent with the first Metroid. But right here, don't kill this enemy. Just jump very close and get him to knock you right into it. And just like that, we have our first energy tank. And over to the right here, we have our second missile upgrade for 10. But yeah, getting that energy tank early just gives us a little bit of an advantage, make things more manageable. And Blaze, quick overview on the energy tanks.
Alright, the energy tank increases your maximum life in Super Metroid by 100.
There you go, no longer a cap of 99 health, now we have 199 health. Should make the early goings here a little bit easier. We have another energy tank actually, which is going to be just not hidden at all. We'll just happen upon it as we're going to the left here. But now that we have the ability to get into a little ball formation, I'm trying to come up with the right language for it. I'm not sure. You can tell that I'm uncomfortable with it. I'm struggling trying to come up with the right word. When we're morphing, when we're just, let's go morphing. Let's go morphing. Let that be known from here on through the rest of this Super Metroid walkthrough right here on Video Games 101. That will be that's the terminology we're going to be using. So here you don't have to fight these guys, but I just find sometimes it's a little bit easier because when they transition, they knock you down, and sometimes if you don't land on a platform, then it's a very long fall. It can be very frustrating. Possibly to the point of biting down and throwing our controller like we mentioned in the difficulty. Now we're just going to pop back through here, retracing our steps. This time we're going to stop off at this red door now that we have some missiles. Pop it open with 5. Come in here, fight the enemies or don't. Doesn't matter. Part of the luxury of picking up that early energy tank is that you can afford to take more damage and engage with less enemies. So come to this room and we get our map data for this section of Zebes. Criteria, which I usually get mixed up with Corneria from Star Fox. Then I also get it mixed up with Coneria, which was a town in the original Final Fantasy, another game which we've done a class on, a walkthrough on here on Video Games 101. Again, all of our classes are available via the link to the playlist in the description. So before we can go through that barrier on the left, we need to morph down here to access this area. Run through here, and we'll use our remaining 5 missiles right there. And right here we got ourselves the bomb, Blaze.
Alright, the Morph Ball bomb. Another classic. We can now drop bombs when we're in Morph Ball form and access areas we wouldn't normally be able to access.
And we got our first boss right after, Gary.
It's Scary Gary's Boss Beaters.
Alright, the first boss you can actually defeat in Super Metroid, Torizo. You want to stand in front of the boss and just fire missiles diagonally up into his chest. when the boss jumps back against the wall and he's about to spit out his little eggs, we're gonna shoot up, hold L and R to aim straight up and fire. This is when you can replace your missiles, replenish them, and just go right back to the body, right back to the chest with those missiles. You'll take him down.
Good call, Gary. Thank you very much. Very effective. And while we're backtracking a bit here, just follow along. Let's bring in Blaze for an overview on the little pickups we can find in Super Metroid from killing enemies.
All right, let's talk about the items you will find while walking around and killing enemies on Zebes. First, you have the small and the large health refills for 5 and 20 apiece. And then you have the missiles. These come in replenishments of 2. You have the super missiles for 1, and finally the power bombs for 1. Note that these will only appear after you have initially gotten these items. So until you get the power bombs, killing enemies will never drop a power bomb for you. But there you go, the items you'll find walking around Zebes and killing aliens.
That's right, so all we have access to at this point from killing enemies will be missile upgrades. We have a little save pod right there you can use if you so choose. And we're going to use our bombs now to break through and access this area here. Love those creepy glowing skulls. But here is missile upgrade 3 of 46. Brings our total up to 15. And there's one more missile upgrade we need to get in this area before we finally move on. If you bomb here and hold to the right, you can take a slight shortcut, shave 10 seconds off your playthrough here. But drop back down, we're gonna go all the way back down again, unfortunately. Just hug the right wall again and just keep shooting down to take out most of these enemies before they can hit you. But in this kind of in-between area, if we drop a bomb pretty much where that guy was standing, right there in the middle, we can drop down, and this is where we'll find the 4th missile upgrade. This brings us up to 20 missiles for our max capacity. And while we're finally working our way back up to the surface and then heading left to destroy that wall with our newly acquired bombs, let's bring in Fluff for a Fluff fact about Super Metroid. Fluff?
We mentioned this in our class on Metroid, but Samus Aran herself was inspired in equal parts by Sigourney Weaver's main character from Alien, Alan Ripley, whose surname would of course be used to name one of Mother Brain's top sidekicks in Ridley, and actress Kim Basinger, who Samus's character creator, Yoshio Sakamoto, had recently seen in the erotic romance film 9.5 Weeks.
Good call, Fluff. I don't think we had that bit about the one of the programmers having seen 9.5 Weeks. Never seen 9.5 Weeks. I remember 9 Months, which is a movie which probably no one remembers. It's just one of those things that it's funny how you have a much better knowledge of obscure movies that probably weren't that good, that are easily forgettable, just based on the decade that you grew up in. So, this was the late 90s. So, yeah, that's the only reason 9 Months comes to mind for me. But we finally blast through that wall right there and carry on to the left, and we'll get ourselves a nice freebie energy tank at the bottom here. So don't worry about taking a little damage ahead of time. It's not like the original Metroid where you might want to save an easily accessible energy tank for late in the game, because it's just, it's harder to stock up on health as easily. This game has a lot of dedicated energy refill points, and it's just lots of areas where you can farm for health and missiles and things like that. I mean, they had that in the first Metroid as well, but yeah, definitely grab that energy tank. So that gives us 2 at this point, making the first quarter of this game a whole lot more manageable. Be showing you, just by virtue of taking the most efficient route here, we'll be showing you the earliest time generally that you can get a lot of the upgrades that'll make the game a lot easier for you. As we are now in Brinstar, blasting open this first red door on the left. Use bombs to blow open the entrance to this kind of false wall right here that you can morph through. And we have our map now for the Brinstar area. It always automatically brings it up for you right here. The west side of Zebes, if you will, Brinstar. Good bit of music here too, if I do say so. Another instance where we need to kill the enemies of the screen to carry on here. Sometimes you just more efficient to just pull out a missile and destroy your enemies that way. We're just gonna go across the hall now with 5 more of our missiles. And if you jump up here, you will find the 5th missile upgrade. And we talked a bit about speedrunning earlier on. Let's bring in Fluff now to show how this is an important area for speedrunners for getting an important item which unlocks more of the map earlier than you're meant to. So Fluff, what do you got for us?
One of the earliest root hacks essential to a Super Metroid speedrun involves a tricky maneuver called the Mockball. You can use this to bypass a number of gates barring you from collecting an early super missile upgrade so that you can access otherwise inaccessible areas earlier on. To perform the Mockball here, hold run and run left to right on this ledge, jumping at the last possible second before you go through the door. Release everything except jump while the screen changes through the door, tap down when you come out, and tap right directly before you hit the ground. Continue holding down and right until you've gotten through all the gates and reach the other side.
Thank you, Fluff. It's a cool maneuver if you can pull it off. Took me a little while to get going. Basically how Fluff described it, that's the way to do it, but we'll have super missiles before too long, don't worry. There are 2 missile upgrades to be found in this massive room in Brinstar alone. This is our 6th missile upgrade at the bottom of this giant room for a total of 30 now. If we bomb through here, we can drop down. And just like that, we've found the charge beam, Blaze.
Alright, the charge beam. This allows you to charge up your beam shot to release a stronger burst of energy. You can also use this when you're in Morph Ball to drop 5 bombs for what it's worth, but there you go, the charge beam.
Thank you, Gary. Also want to add that when you hold down that attack button to charge it up, when you do a somersault jump, you're invincible from most attacks, so it's very useful in the right situations. We're jumping back up to the top of this massive room in Brinstar. We'll be cutting back and forth through here a few times throughout the game, but you can see there was a section where you could use the grapple beam, which we do not have yet. There's a missile upgrade there, which we'll grab on the way back. You don't need the grapple to do that. You could just use some of the wall jumps, which we'll talk about. But haven't had to use any of those just yet. Missiles are necessary for taking down the enemies in this room to unlock it so that it can be unlocked. And we have another boss. Let's throw it back to Gary.
Boss beaters.
Alright, the Spore Spawn. You stay on the hard left or right ledge right up against the wall and go into a ball. He can't hit you when he's swinging back and forth. If you're off the wall just by the smallest of margins, he can still hit you. Also note that the spawn, the little spawns, the spores, whatever you want to call them, that are coming down from the ceiling, those can still hit you, so watch out for those. But when he opens the mouth, that's when you want to fire those missiles. You can hit the little spawns, the little spores, to turn them into potential missiles, so you can refill them should you need to, but not too difficult if you stick to this strategy. Bunch of missiles fired in, you'll take him down.
Good call, Gary. Yeah, it's just a matter of getting him to open his mouth to get those shots in, especially when we're all crammed up against the wall right there. As he moves faster, though, you know he's closer to dropping. Maybe open his mouth with a little more consistency. Maybe not. And the color changes a little bit too, gets a little darker, a little more orangish, kind of, I guess, rotting type coloring to the boss here. Just gotta use that temporary invincibility of taking damage so that we can actually get past the mouth there and get those shots in. But now the dead boss acts as a platform, so we can jump up here. And I told you it wouldn't take long. Go through this door right here. If you need to restock anything, you can always use these little Zebes that come out of the pots here to stock up on energy and missiles. But then drop through as we get that classic creepy Metroid music right here modernized for the the SNES, but we have our first super missiles. Blaze.
Alright, the super missile. These are 5 times stronger than a normal missile. They are very powerful. We're capped at 50. Make sure you find all these, which the professor will explain. They're very effective against certain bosses in particular, and you need these to open certain doors as well. Very important, the super missiles.
Yep, use those on the green doors. I like that it's so powerful it drops enemies from the ceiling. And they'll now appear, I think with like a 4% chance when we kill enemies as a pickup. So be on the lookout for those if you need them as well. Alright, so time to do some wall jumping here to get this power up. Basically wall jumping, a little tricky as we get our 7th missile upgrade right here. So to do a wall jump, you do a somersault into a wall that you want to jump off of. Hold hard in the opposite direction, followed immediately by the jump button. Holding hard is key to this formula, I have found. It works a lot better when you apply extra pressure to that opposite direction. And that's basically the key to pulling off wall jumps. We'll need to do another one right here to get our 8th missile upgrade. In this long kind of corridor here, which keeps going down, but we got a false pipe right here that we can go through. Maybe not a false pipe, but one that we can go through. But this is our 8th missile upgrade right here. So we now have a max of 40, even though we've gone through some. Obviously, we're showing 20 right now. Only 38 to go. Progress, right? I think these little guys are called Gigas, actually, rather than Zebes. Different names depending on where you are, but use your missile to unlock that barrier right there. Jump up and sprint to get across here. By the way, if you're low on super missiles, right here you can kill these cack attacks with a regular missile, and they'll drop you a super missile, so it's important that we have one actually for this next section, so make sure you have at least one. So little Gigas fly in. We can use our bombs on the floor here to cut through. Won't be going back up that way, not easily at least, but yeah, use your super missile on that green door right there. And you can top off your health. Might be needing it at this stage of the game, unless you've been stopping off and stocking up from the little Zebes and the Gigas and what have yous. Water's very frustrating until we have a certain power-up later on in the game, so try to avoid it. Doesn't hurt you, but it's just annoying to have to run around in, or attempt to move around and jump around in. We need one more super missile, actually, so yeah, take out that cack attack right there with the missile and grab one, and then we're going to do a wall jump after we blast out this chip right above the door. And now, if we just use bombs to come in through this little secret area, we'll get a weapon upgrade. Make sure you're holding to the right when you use that second bomb, because the ground, you can see, gives out underneath you. We don't want to fall down prematurely. But grab the Spazer here and Blaze the Spazer.
Alright, the Spazer. This splits your normal attack into 3 different spread out beams, so you can more likely to hit your target. But yeah, the Spazer just splitting what you've already got into multiple beams for better accuracy.
Alright, thanks Blaze. Yeah, better coverage with that Spazer. Just gets automatically equipped. You can go into your inventory by pressing start and hitting R to get into your all of your upgrades that you have and turn them on or off as you so choose. With this course, you never have to turn anything off. You just, as we grab them, it's just going to default to the best setup, so just something to keep in mind. But head to the right from there and take this elevator down as we are heading into Norfair, the depths of Zebes, the basement. A lot more claustrophobic and cavernous down here. Gonna skip that first super missile door and just go all the way down to the bottom and use 5 missiles on this red door and grab our 3rd energy tank. But we're not done in this room. Jump to the left here and the floor will give out. You can morph your way down underneath here. If you're impatient, just plow through that little gamer. Fire up top here to blast out the wall, and we got ourselves the high jump boots. Blaze.
Alright, the high jump boots. Grab these and you can jump twice as high as you could before.
Makes getting around a little bit easier. Let's see, we'll just go here to show the full height of this jump. Pretty good, pretty good. Alright, so we'll head back up this way now that we can make these jumps with the high jump boots. And right outside the high jump boot room, we get our 9th missile upgrade for a max of 45 now. And just bomb your way back out. And head back out to the right, to the main shaft of Norfair right here. So dropping into Norfair was just a little diversion right there. We're going to head back up now to Brinstar. Don't quite have everything that we need to fully explore Norfair, so just wanted to grab those high jump boots. Should help us with our efforts back in Brinstar. Make sure you have 1 super missile, if not go back and destroy a cack attack with the regular missile, but we're about to enter Kraid's lair, and we needed the high jump boots to access Kraid's lair here, and that's why we had to make that stop off in Norfair first. Now use a bomb right at the door to go down here. Bomb this right corner of the floor right there. Morph your way through. If you want to save before, we're about to take on Kraid right here. If you want to save first, drop a bomb right here. Morph through and enter this room right here. Don't worry, there's going to be a missile and a health top off right before we take on Kraid, so it doesn't stock up on our super missiles, but it will top off our regular missiles and our health as well, so. That said, if you do need some super missiles, there's kind of a mini Kraid at the end of this hallway right here. We can just missile our way through. And he'll give us, I don't know, well, 4 right there. We'll need 1 to access, alright, 5, yeah. We'll need 1 to access Kraid's actual lair, but shoot the ceiling right here and use a super missile right here, and we can access this room where we can top off our health. And more urgently for our purposes right here, our missiles as well. So this should be at, yeah, 45. Like that detail of the fallen warrior right there. I recommend just using regular missiles here on this eyeball door. Conserve as many super missiles as possible, and let's see what Gary has to say about Kraid. Gary?
Boss beaters.
Alright, Kraid hasn't missed a lot of meals since we last saw him in the earlier Metroid, but yeah, use the super missiles. When he opens his mouth at the start, you can get 3 in to take him down instantly if you're accurate and fast. Otherwise, yeah, just aim for the mouth when he opens it up. Stay close to get those shots in, and yeah, super missiles are the way to go, but it takes a bit longer with the regular missiles, like Blaze mentioned. The supers are 5 times more powerful, but yeah, not too difficult. If you follow the strategy, just aim for that mouth, you'll take him down.
So yeah, we got 2 of the supers off, and then just finished him off with 5 of the regular missiles right there, so not too difficult. And our reward for taking him down is the Varia Suit. Blaze?
Alright, the Varia Suit. Not only does this cut the damage you take in half, it allows you to survive very hot rooms.
We'll be having a lot of those coming up. Good call, Blaze. Thank you very much. And again, this just gets automatically applied to Samus. So the hits we take won't be nearly as impactful now on us, thankfully. Now we're just backtracking our way, top off our super missiles again with that, I don't know, Kraid super fan or something. And yeah, kill all the enemies in the room to progress forward. But we're just backtracking here out of Kraid's lair, although we do have 1 stop off to make before we completely leave. You saw that there was a door early on that we didn't open. Some more right here. And now you can see we have the option of opening it. These guys are annoying. Just use bombs to get them off you, but shoot the ceiling right there and Grab yourself your 4th energy tank. Health is looking pretty good now. And just, yeah, kill this little guy to gain access back to this chamber. And just head back out the way you initially came in. And we're done with that stretch. Again, you gotta use one of the super missiles there to gain access, but the Varia Suit will be very important for exploring all of Norfair. We're gonna take the first blue door that we come to. It's a problem with having those super missiles out. I tend to fire them when I don't mean to. Still like the effect that it has, knocking the enemies from their grip on the ceilings and walls. Yeah, we're getting into the areas where we wouldn't be able to withstand the heat in our normal suit before. Plus having that high jump at this point allows us to explore more freely. To the third little section here, we're going to drop down and fire at the ground. We're going to have to go in the lava for just a second, but there we can grab our 10th missile upgrade, bringing our total up to 50 for the game to this point. The lava physics act just like water, unfortunately, so it's a murky mess getting in and out of there. The lava's going to start rising here, so instinctively you might start moving faster and making mistakes, but note that it stops before it rises above any of the platforms here. It's kind of nice, actually. I'm sure the dragons appreciate it. Little guys that are spitting fire at us right there. This is another fairly large room right here. Go down to the right and drop down and start dropping some bombs here. Access a little hidden area. And very quickly we have our 11th missile upgrade. Bringing our total up to 55 max missiles now. I don't know why 230 is the cap. Seems such a arbitrary number, but sure, they had their reasons. So bomb down here. We're not quite finished with this underground part of this room. Bomb through there, and we have a little junction right here. We're going to take the bottom door. Take this first door on the right here. You can restock as necessary right here. The Spazer does a good job. You can also just bomb the floor, but as long as you get right up next to them, you don't have to worry about moving to collect the items, but it's the next best thing to one of those rooms where you just get restocked from a machine. Actually, it might be a little bit better because you can grab your super missiles, and when we get some other upgrades, we'll be able to restock those too, which you can't do from those little missile kiosks. Nice of the baddies to put those all around Zebes, by the way. Once again, another instance where the lava is going to be rising. Just go underneath this alien-looking creature. We're going to be moving up quite efficiently, going through this top door on the left. There's a platform here, just wait for it for a second. Morph to get underneath the spikes right there. Some of this kind of looks like some of the rooms that we had in the original Metroid. The combination of, well, I guess it was sand in those areas, but I'm going to skip the first door. We'll be coming back out of that in just a moment and go to the top red missile door. If you've got the missiles, just go ahead with your basic type right there. You can always use a super missile, but typically want to conserve those since we never have the, got some Mega Man looking hovering platforms right here. Shoot the switch to open the gate right here. And grab our 12th missile upgrade. Bringing our total to 60 now. In this next part, they probably want you to have the grapple beam, but we can do this with just a wall jump. Jump down to the right, hug this wall, do a wall jump low enough so that you can clear that little ledge that's sticking out there. Go up and around and you can grab yourself the wave beam, Blaze.
Alright, the wave beam, very powerful weapon, causes your shots to go in a wave-like motion. You can combine this with other beams that you'll get in the game, but very important, goes through walls. Use this to unlock certain barriers, certainly hit a lot of enemies that are hiding behind walls, things like that. The wave beam.
Thank you, Blaze. Note the false part of the spiked floor there as we were getting out. And then that brings us back to this vertical corridor once again. Now we're going to go all the way up to the top. And we're a little bit higher up in a room or an area we've already been to. So use a super missile to unlock that door right there. Shoot through the ceiling right here and use your high jump to effortlessly be able to make that jump right there. Stop off here and top off on your health, your missiles, all that good stuff quite quickly. They're kind of nice about giving you what you need sometimes in terms of replenishments. Just run across here and at the very end, shoot just before you go through the door up at the ceiling. Find the 13th missile upgrade for 65. And now we can apply those 5 missiles we just got to opening this door right here. And here it is, the speed booster, making that run we just did a lot more satisfying on the way back. Blaze?
Alright, the speed boost. This allows you to run faster than before, taking down walls and enemies, anything that gets in your way. The speed boost, just hold down A like you always did to run, but run faster.
Very satisfying to run back. And the lava's like, oh god, he's got the speed boost. Let's try to keep up right here. If you need to top anything else off, go ahead and do that, but we're going to head back down. This brings us back into this large chamber which we were in earlier. This time we're just going to drop down to the bottom. And remember when we went through the floor and we went through that bottom door, this time we're going to go through that floor again, get back to that area, but this time we're going to go through that left door between the two. Ultimately, this is going to kind of give us a shortcut back to the main corridor of Norfair, where we can use our super missiles to access a new area and, well, a combination of our moves to grab the ice beam, which we'll use to continue exploring Norfair. Going to use our super speed booster. I think I added a needless super there, but that's very satisfying, killing all the enemies and knocking out those blocks. You can do a save right there if you need to. And now we're going to pop up. Still can't open that door. Don't have the power up we need yet, but we can open this super missile door right here. Start sprinting as soon as you come out of this door to clear all of these little barriers. Don't have the power bomb yet, but that's what that symbol was right there. These platforms start to sink when you stand on them, just a little heads up right there. Alright, so in this room you can go up and around. I just like to jump and immediately double tap down and make a little shortcut for ourselves right there. It's an easy move to do, so just as soon as you jump, just tap down twice, hold to the right, come through here and get the ice beam. Very important item, Blaze.
Alright, the ice beam is a classic. Freeze your enemies so you can stand on them, turn them into platforms, or just protect yourself from some Metroids late in the game, but there you go, the ice beam.
Very satisfying for putting these aliens on ice. Love that sound effect of the enemy turning into ice. Kind of a crunching, collapsing sound, whatever you want to call that. So yeah, freeze these guys, especially this guy over here. If you get him at his full height, you could just morph right through that hole. Otherwise, use a bomb and prop yourself up there if you're close enough. Drop down here and morph your way to the right. For the exit, we still don't have those power bombs, so we can't go through that floor at the end of that corridor right there. But now that we have our ice beam, we have some more areas which will be accessible to us. You can use that same maneuver to pop up right there with just jumping and then quickly double tapping down to go into a morph ball right there. You get more comfortable the more you play the game, you'll find, you know. Once you get to around the Norfair area where we are right now, you'll just You'll start to cruise, start to hit a nice little pocket in the gameplay where it all starts to make sense to you. That was my experience the first time I was running it, at least. Nice putting these guys on ice, using them as little platforms. Or at least stopping their projectiles, these dragons. Keep them from launching little balls of lava up at us. Alright, so in this room we want to freeze one of these waivers to make a little step for us. A couple of these waivers, really. Let them start to bounce and move to the right. Get a little... Need a little more height there, even with our high jump. We can't quite make that. There we go. That's where the R1 works quite nicely. Get them when they're well above you. We now have the... This should be the 14th missile upgrade, bringing our total up to 70 missiles, max. We're not quite done here though. Shoot up right here, do your jump, and then quickly double tap down while you're holding to the left to morph ball into that little hole right there. And carry on in this room, freezing everything that moves. You'll note that that last little platform right there is our 15th missile upgrade. So grab that. But we also just grabbed our first reserve tank. Blaze, reserve tanks?
Alright, the reserve tank allows you to add extra energy into them when you're at full health so that when you drop down below and you need to go into those reserves, you have them available.
Yeah, they'll automatically kick in, so that'll light up once you have some health in that tank. So it'll remain blue until we get to full health, and then grab some health on top of that to start to fill up however many reserve tanks we have at that time. So now we'll drop all the way back down in this main chamber, and once again we're going to head down through this middle area. I promise this is still the most efficient 100% completion route. But we're going to go through that left door again, but this time we're going to bomb the floor. Right here. And go to the left here. You can stock up on anything that you might need to here, but using our wave beam we can shoot our way through on this side to hit that switch. As we descend deeper into the bowels of Norfair, which is itself the bowels of Zebes. Go through this right door here and you'll get an energy recharge station, so you can top off your health right here. But we're going to cut back to the left, ignoring that right door for the moment. Just ignore these guys and rush through. Go through this door right here. We need to go down here, but if you want to save first, we have a save station right up above. You'll see if we pick this up, we'll start to fill up our reserve tank right there, as that auto went from blue to yellow to show that we do have some health in the tank should we need it. So now it's time to go down and take on the next boss here in Super Metroid, using a super missile right here. With tips on how to beat this next one, let's go back to Gary.
Boss beaters.
Crocomire. I'm gonna stay just out of the reach of his claws and then fire charge shots when he opens his mouth. No need to waste missiles on this guy. Just keep repeating this to force him back into the lava. You'll take him down.
Good call, Gary. And while we're doing this, I'm told, Fluff, you have a Fluff fact about Crocomire?
Crocomire's tongue is actually a separate enemy which can actually be killed. A Super Metroid speedrunning community has discovered that it takes more than 80 power bombs to take it down. So unless you have an hour or so to kill waiting for them to appear at their 4% spawn rate, maybe just drop him in the lava.
Which is what we're doing here. Yeah, that's interesting. File that under mildly interesting, but we also don't have the power bombs yet, so yeah, just push him back on that flooring right there. It's kind of a gruesome death. Feel bad for, I mean, he was trying to kill us, but I guess the fact that he wasn't doing a very good job kind of makes me feel more sorry for him. And if you follow to the left here, you can see what looks like some last gasps from Crocomire, perhaps. Phase 2, Gary, do we need you? Are we No. No. Looks scary. Probably freaked me out when I was a kid, but if you were on the right side, you'd probably be like, why is the music still playing? But yeah, come over here to grab some items. But now I'm going to run all the way to the right and jump at the last second and do a little wall jump right here to grab ourselves another energy tank. No reason to wait on that one. I guess the intended way to get that is through using the grapple beam, which we don't have yet, but yeah, I'll certainly trade off losing 80 damage or whatever it is for grabbing myself an extra energy tank a little bit earlier. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment on this video and click subscribe if you haven't already, as this seriously helps me to keep making great content for you.